Hi, thank you for coming by and visiting with us at Rugged Mountain Homestead. I'm Sarah.
And Dean.
And we are from Central Virginia, but have finally made our way out to Southwest Colorado. What we'll be sharing with you today is our very exciting, very entertaining trip from Central Virginia in search and on our way to starting our homestead in Southwest Colorado. The hardest part, of course, is always saying goodbye to those things that you're familiar with and those that you love. And so I think the hardest for me at that time was saying goodbye to our adult children who are staying on the East Coast. We did get to have some last visits with friends and family and our wonderful uncle. And unfortunately, we didn't get a picture with Mom and Dad. But we had some great visits, and that was, I guess, the hardest part. So then, after that excitement, we started packing up our house. And we sold about 3/4 of our things.
You say 3/4. I think it was more like a quarter, but at any rate.
It was a lot of stuff. It was a lot. And so the rest was in storage. We purchased a travel trailer, hooked it up to our truck, and left town 1 hour prior to the walkthrough on our house at closing.
It was a last-minute rush, and that's why we unfortunately didn't get to say goodbye to too many people, because it was work every day. We put the house on the market. It sold very quickly and good, but we had to get going. So
stressful. But we did. We took off and we headed down. We stayed our first night boondocking in a Bass Pro Shop, which was interesting and it was really neat. And of course, we had never really traveled with a travel trailer before.
Beautiful scenery in the parking lot too.
But so then we made our way to the KOA in Hurricane Mills, which the people there in Tennessee are wonderful and they're friendly, and they were helpful to us on our stay. Because the second or third night, second night, because you buy a brand new travel trailer and you say, I'm going across country. What could go wrong? Well, I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom, get down to the bathroom, and feel like I've stepped in what is 1 or 2 inches of water.
Which it was.
So Dina's awakened to the sounds of flood. And there is water overflowing the bathtub, the sink. Thank God, not the black tank.
Yep, we basically had a problem with the gray tank and some of the valves that were not installed and or tightened correctly. So it ended up filling up because we were hooked up to city water, and it just kept on coming in during the night and filled up the tank, filled up the tub, filled up the sink, and then started coming towards the front of the trailer where we were sleeping. So fortunately she got up, otherwise we might have had 3 feet of water by the time we got up in the morning and put our feet down. But anyway.
So Dean's running outside, shutting the water off, and I'm taking the waste basket in the bathroom and I'm taking water out of the tub and pouring it into the black tank. Well, we got things pretty much cleaned up, and so I guess that took us to about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I told Dean, because we're outside trying to be really quiet, and I said, I keep hearing this dripping noise. Something's dripping.
So I look underneath at night with a flashlight and see that the water was out of the RV or out of the trailer, but it seeped through under the floor, soaking all the insulation and filling up the water barrier, so it looked like a giant bladder underneath from front to back. And at this point I said, I can't do any more. I'll deal with it in the morning. At least the inside of the place was dry. So the next day, I get up and spent pretty much the day asking around what to do, and I had to get rid of that water. So I ended up taking a good chunk of the day going underneath and slicing into that bladder or into that vapor barrier and letting many gallons out and trying to get it to dry out. So then, since it was Memorial Day weekend, there was nobody available to do any work anywhere.
And they had to be approved by the manufacturer so that we were under warranty. We are under warranty.
So after calling around for 2 days, finally on Monday, I believe it was, Memorial Day, found a place. Somebody just happened to be there and said, well, if you can be here 300 miles away at 8:30 in the morning,
Arkansas,
we might be able to fit you in. So yeah, we headed out immediately as soon as we could and ended up going to Conway, Arkansas, and we stopped in a place called Superior RV, and I'll tell you, these guys were fantastic.
Yeah, they were.
Took us right away. First thing, worked on it all day. We went out, we ran errands, we got stuff to eat and supplies, and came back at 4:30, and they were just finishing up, and they had replaced it all. It was all under warranty, and we were on our way. So thanks, guys, from Superior RV in Conway, Arkansas.
And they actually fixed a couple other little things that we didn't know, like plugging in our
Yeah.
electric water heater and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
the setup of this, when you buy a new one, expect to work out the kinks for your first several weeks, if not longer. So whether you spend $2,000 or $200,000, everybody says the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but at any rate, then we're back on the road.
It shows how naive we were. So then we get back on the road and we're just, traveling along, and we hit Oklahoma. Dean wants a little break and he sees a camping store, kind of like an RV store. And he says, let's just pull off and go in and look around. So he pulls off and gets out and he's walking into the store.
And I'm met by a guy coming out the front door
Who's
who
the
I guess
owner.
was owner and or manager, looking and looking and looking at the RV and said, who set that up for you? And I said, the dealership. And he said, you realize that you're sitting about 4 inches too low. And if you were a commercial rig, you'd probably get a ticket for that.
Yeah.
So I asked him what the story was. He went through the whole setup and how it was supposed to be, and ended up swapping out some parts and completely changing the hitch and hookup. But after a couple of hours, they had us on the road again, and they too were great.
Yeah.
Prestige RV Center in Shawnee, Oklahoma. If you ever in Oklahoma, if you're ever in that area,
That's the
they
place
were
to stop.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So good thumbs up to the Prestige RV folks in
They're
Shawnee, Oklahoma.
very helpful because it actually did help with our gas mileage a little bit too.
Yes.
We did see an improvement on that.
And it was not, it was driving and pulling much better.
Yeah.
So, back on the road.
Back on the road. And so we're in Oklahoma and we decide we're going to stay the night. We've kind of had it at this point. We're tired. And so we stay at a KOA in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. Just decide to rest. We take the next day. We go back to Arkansas and go to Fort Smith and do a little bit of touring around there and eat well. And
Very interesting place.
yeah, it was neat. And so then we head back out the next day and we stay overnight in Amarillo, Texas. Now, this footage in Oklahoma and in Texas I lost because another issue. My camera kept telling me I was having an SD card error and I just couldn't figure out why. And come to find out, after talking with GoPro, they told me your camera's faulty, we can't fix it. So I had to send it back and wait 7 days, something like that,
Good week anyway.
to get a new one. So I actually was very upset because I missed some really cool footage.
Yeah.
But regardless, we went through Texas and then we went up and I was able to capture a little bit of footage in New Mexico. Crossed over to New Mexico and stayed at the Route 66 Casino and Resort, which was really cool,
Right outside of Albuquerque.
but was also the scene of our next big
Wasn't
excitement.
big. It was big. Anyway, so we're setting up, and it's a very nice place.
Yeah.
And I look around and I see there's an employee who's running around up and down on a golf cart with a flashing yellow light on it, and he's basically doing security checks and making sure everything's okay and everybody's doing all right. So I just saw him, I waved to him, and that was that. So then we went into the casino. We did not gamble, although we did.
We played bingo.
We did play bingo. Bingo. I figured bingo. I know what I'm doing. It's bingo.
Yeah.
There's about 1,400 different variants, and you can win millions of dollars or lose millions of dollars. And
Which
there
we
were
did
some
neither.
serious professionals there, but we just gave it a try. We had fun. We lost $10.
And they
But
do it
was fun.
electronically now.
Yeah,
it wasn't like cards.
Yeah, it was unusual.
But they were serious about their bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then that was we ate, we played, we went back to the camper and went to sleep, and
Yep. I woke up again in the middle of the night, and it's dry out in the Southwest, and the climate is very different, and so you hear a lot of times about wildfires and things like that.
now granted, we're in a campground that has about one tree, and it's either concrete or gravel, but nonetheless,
It was in my head. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and
again about 2 or
yeah,
3.
something like that, and all I see in the frosted glass of the trailer is orange flickering just up and down, and then next to the window next to the door is also the same thing, just this orange flickering up and down, and I'm just like, Dean, fire, fire. And he jumps up and hits his head and it's up because I scream fire.
Banged my head, kind of opened my eyes, and immediately realized it's the guy in the golf cart driving around and the lights flashing. So I just
Sorry.
said, yeah, I just said, it's the guy in a golf cart. I'm going back to bed. Well, she went right back to bed. 2 hours later, I finally got to sleep.
I was happy once I knew what was fire.
At any rate, so that was our second fun little
Excitement.
excitement, yeah.
So
But
then
it was a good trip.
it was. I mean, of all the things that happen, but we had it's okay to have some
It took
excitement.
us about, what, 7 days?
A little bit more because we stayed over.
9 days.
Yeah, we stayed over in Hurricane Mills,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really neat little town too.
Yeah, we were kind of stuck there after that flood. I didn't want to be moving the trailer, and I wanted to get it fixed before we got back on the road again. So, but it was pretty good. We didn't knock ourselves out on the drive and saw some neat scenery, met a lot of great people. Unfortunately lost some footage, but here we are now.
Right, and so we'll give you more of our backstory in an upcoming video, but we knew the direction we were headed, and so we left Albuquerque early that morning and rolled into the Durango Ranch RV Resort on June 4th in the late afternoon, and it is a wonderful place here to stay.
Fantastic place, clean, great people, quiet, small. They just opened. It's
Yeah.
immaculate.
It is really the best that this area has to offer. So we've been staying here, and again, there'll be more in an upcoming episode, but we are actually embarking on building our home and our homestead, and getting prepared for next year for when we have chicks and goats.
Chickens.
Well, they'll start off as chicks, and goats and all the fun animals. But right now we're going to work on building our home.
Yeah, we need a house first,
And our garden.
and a garden second.
Garden beds. Yes. I have missed my growing season. I had a little raised bed garden back in Virginia, which I just dearly loved, and I tried everything in it. It was the source of a lot of learning experiences for me. And then right last year I did a little herb garden, which came back this year, but I couldn't plant anything because we were moving, and so it's been hard for me.
And the growing season here is much
different.
much different and shorter.
But we have a lot of nice little things in containers outside of our trailer, and I'm super excited to see what you do with the garden beds, because you are a perfectionist when it comes to those things.
I'm excited to see what I do with them too.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. But so that is it for now. And
That's our intro to the chapter 2 of life's journey.
Yes, we will have that story in a future video. So please stay tuned, stay with us. We'd love to have you join and follow along with our adventure for good things, bad things, funny things, exciting things, all the things. So
there you go.
Take care, and we will see you on the next one.